What's going on, everybody? Welcome to BucosLocker with your host Isaiah, coming to you again. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share all the videos. Don't forget to hit the notification bell icon to notify you all new videos that's posted on this channel. Shouts out to all the Powers and Sea Bandits. Thank you for supporting the channel. Keep supporting it. If you're not a part of the Powers and Sea Bandits, please feel free to join this wagon. We got a lot of space for any fan base. We got enough room for more people. First down. But anyway, how's everybody doing on this hump day on Wednesday? Me, I'm doing good. I just wanted to kind of touch bases with y'all with a video, and we'll talk about this more on Friday. But I want to touch bases with y'all. I know everybody was been keeping the eye out on this week. We got joint practices, or the Bucs have the Bucs have joint practices with the Miami Dolphins in Tampa, and just reading the reports. Remember, there's a difference with what you see and what you read. Now, I don't know what I see, but you go off of what you read, and you come to your own conclusion. So, reading all what everybody's saying from the Bucs perspective, the Bucs local media, and then reading what Miami's media members saying are two different things. Most of it's different. I can tell you this right now: both media outlets are not reporting the exact same things. The Miami media see one thing, and the Bucs media see another thing. You know what I'm saying? So there's a couple moments, a couple areas that they kind of see eye to eye on. But when you listen to the Miami beat reporters or the Miami reporters outlets, they saying, they defense looking really good. And then you go follow the Bucs local reporters. The Bucs this and the Bucs that, and the Bucs this. None of them really said anything bad about each team too much, right? They big up in their team. So my take on that is to make it more easy for everybody and don't get too caught up in the back and forth between media outlets. Mixed reviews. It's the most simplest thing you can approach this on. Mixed reviews. Because if you go by strictly what Greg Allman's saying, or Rick Stroud, or whoever else out there, and not really paying attention to what the Miami reporters are saying, then you being one-sided. So it's kind of hard to get a grasp of what's really going on. Now, you can take bits and pieces and put it together, but all in all, from what I gathered, from what I read in some of the videos I looked at, mixed reviews. Now, there are some things that we can discuss, and we'll talk more about this on Friday, but we're going to start out on the Bucs side, right? So we're going to start out with the good. You got the good, bad, and ugly, right? So the good part for the Bucs, the receivers were showing out. Julio Jones, Devin Tompkins, Darden, Scotty Tuhati, they all look good. Tyler Johnson, they all came out getting it in. Watched a couple of videos, read a couple of reports. They came out, and the receivers came out hot on the one-on-ones, not the 11-on-11s. We're talking about the one-on-ones right now. The receivers was killing them. I hate to use that word, but the receivers was doing the Miami Dolphins DBs in. Now, granted, the Miami Dolphins DBs, they was missing some players, and I think they had Xavier Howard out there, but I think he was like limited or something like that. Then they had their first round pick. I can't pronounce his name. He from Auburn. Byron Jones wasn't playing, but their future All-Pro safety Javon Holland was playing. But the Bucs receivers on one-on-one did their thing. Julio was the one that stood out, and Tompkins. And I saw the videos on Julio Jones. He was looking good out there. Now, it was against their slot corner. I don't know if that was a starter. I don't know what that was. Maybe it had been a starter. I don't know. But whoever that was stood no chance. And I told y'all this. Julio Jones going to give us flashes. Just make sure your expectations is realistic. He's going to give us flashes. He's going to give us a lot of catches. Basically, the same thing AD did. 45 to 55 catches. Now, if he stays healthy, here's the thing about Julio Jones as preseason roll around. If Julio Jones gets 70 to 80 catches, the production for Godwin and Evans go down. But here's the catch, 22. Even though their catch go down, but their production will go up. they'll be more fresh. So Julio Jones can help the Bucs in a lot of ways if he gets more than 45 to 55 catches. Because that way, yeah, Godwin might have 75, 80 catches, and Evans might have, 60 to 80 catches. But look at the production. The production goes up. And the efficiency of each catch go up. So don't look at it like Julio Jones is taking catches from Evans and Godwin if you're a fantasy guy. I'm not a fantasy guy anymore. Don't really play it. I'm pretty decent because I know a lot about football, but I just don't. I don't like. I used to have a fantasy league, but don't look at Julio Jones as a negative, taking catches away from Godwin and Evans and Gage. They might have a lot less catches, but the efficiency and the production gonna go up. The catch percentage is going to go up. Like Russell Gage catch percentage is like 70%. I think Mike Evans is like 60s or 56.7 or something like that. That'll go up. Chris Godwin catch rate will go up. You get what I'm saying? So look at it from that standpoint. So when you watch Julio Jones in these joint practices and in preseason, make sure your expectations is reasonable. Because if you think you're going to get 2018, 2019 Julio Jones, I need you to come back down to earth. And just because he showed us some moments, that does not mean that's going to be the Julio Jones we get the entire season every time he plays. I'm expecting him to be a little nicked up at some point. Maybe miss a game, maybe two. Now remember, I told y'all this before. Julio Jones will always be an Atlanta Falcon in my eyes. He's only with the Bucs for 1 year. So while he's here, that support him, that doesn't mean I have to be like, I got to get a Julio Jones jersey, but he's here to support the Bucs and what we're trying to do. He's trying to get a ring, and the Bucs is his best chance. Or the Bucs was the top of the list. I think he was Green Bay was looking at him or something like that, and the Colts, whatever. But the Bucs was the best choice for him at this stage of his career. And at best, this is probably his last season. So support Julio Jones. Don't hate on him. He's gonna always be a Falcon fan. He's gonna always be a Falcon great, all-time great. He's a Hall of Famer. He will retire as the Atlanta Falcon. I say this because he's playing for the Bucs now, but as far as he's a Buck. He's not a Buck. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's not on the same page. He's not on a level as Donovan Smith or Lavonte David or the other previous guys that's been for some years. He's only here for a rental, short time frame. So I like what I saw in practice. I like what I saw in the joint practice. Now, other areas. This is where it gets a little tricky. Cornerbacks. Number one problem I have with the Bucs team overall, the secondary. They was doing okay. But from the videos I saw and from what I've been reading, Tyreek Hill is still a problem for Carlton Davis. He does not have the quickness and the lateral movement to stick with him. Just watching a couple videos, it's so obvious that Carlton Davis will struggle against receivers like Tyreek Hill or shifty receivers like Jaden Waddle. He's going to struggle against guys like Deontay Johnson or George Pickens because those guys are twitchy. Carlton Davis is not a twitchy corner. And if you watch the video, him trying to guard Tyreek Hill, it's flashbacks at Kansas City. They're going to have to give him help against receivers like that. Now, against big, strong receivers like Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, he can stick with those guys because those guys are not burners. Those are not twitchy guys. Those are possession receivers or Michael Thomas. He can stick with those guys. He can't stick guys like Olave. You know what I'm saying? He can't stick twitchy guys because if you put him on guys like that, just watching the Tyreek Hill video when he was D'ing them up on 1-on-1s and 11-on-11s, it's hard for him to stay close to Tyreek Hill. It's very, very hard. And you have to give Carlton Davis help over the top every single time, which takes away a defender from another position. A la, like, to help Murphy Bunting out. Or to help out Devin White. You feel me? So the Bucs got to be really careful how they scheme Carlton Davis against receivers that I just named. If you can look at, he can't guard a CeeDee Lamb because CeeDee Lamb is too quick, too twitchy. Jamel Dean will struggle. Jamel Dean will struggle against guys like that. Now Murphy Bunting, we'll get to that in a second. But back to Carlton Davis, he's gonna do good this year. Hopefully, get a lot more picks. You know, I wish him well. He got his contract. He gonna show up to a certain degree. But at this point, until I see him take it to the next level, he is right where he needs to be as far as how I look at him as a cornerback. He's a grabby. Hands is not great with interceptions. You know, short area quickness, he lacks in a little bit, or a lot. But he's long and lanky. He's in that Richard Sherman category. That Asamoah. Namni Asamoah. Long, lanky strider. But when he goes against twitchy guys, like a Josh Norman, right? Hard to keep up with it. Can't keep up with him. And Tyreek Hill was too much. And then Jaden Waller was getting off a little bit based on what I've read from the Miami, right? And these guys were out there, right? Murphy Bunting is listed over Jamel Dean on the depth chart. So Murphy Bunting is listed as the starter over Jamel Dean. Didn't really hear much about Jamel Dean. I didn't hear anything about Jamel Dean or Murphy Bunting really. Winfield, I heard about Winfield doing some things out there. Mike Edwards are out there. You know, like I said, it's mixed reviews. It's not all bad. It's not all good. But my concern is still the secondary as a whole. Now, Winfield Jr. is the best one. We already know. Antoine Winfield Jr. is the best secondary player we got. Hands and feet, clear cut, the best guy. All pro bowler. He's going to be multi-time Pro Bowler, multiple-time All-Pro at some, in his career. The rest of those guys, Davis, Murphy Bunting, Dean, Edwards, those are kind of like middle of the road guys. Carlton Davis can get a little better, but I don't see him being in the. I saw top cornerback ranking today. They ranked 13 of them. I didn't see Carlton Davis. You want to know why, right? You understand why, right? But overall, the secondary wasn't great, wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? It was okay, right? The linebackers, there's some concern there, and I understand why, because the backups are behind Lavonte and Devin White. We can't afford injuries right there, because Cam Gill and Stewart, they was getting kind of toasted a little bit by the running backs and tight ends, whatever. So we can't afford injuries. Lavonte David can't get hurt, and Devin White can't get hurt, or we're gonna be in a whole heap of trouble with Stewart and Gill. But we got a top 5 roster. Remember that. So we should be able to hold on to a certain degree if any injuries happen. The D-line was doing really good. Shouts out to Mo Buckpaw with a $50 super chat. He says, "Go Bucks." I appreciate it, man. Mopar Buck, man. Dallas, man. We're gonna be at the game, right? We'll get to that in a second. Later on in another video. But back to the D-line. The D-line was looking good. Tryon looking shifty out there doing his thing. Hakeem Hicks. Vita was doing their thing. Nacho. The Miami was trying to run the ball, and it wasn't gonna work. Remember, the Bucks are beefy up front. They're not the fastest front seven, but they're one of the strongest. They're one of the strongest front sevens, or the strongest D lines in the NFL. They what's his name? The D line coach. I just had a brain fart. The D line coach, Rogers, Casey Rogers. He's trained those guys very well to handle how to play with strength. He don't really teach them how to play with quickness. He teach them how to hold at the point of attack. Because our D line is big guys. You know what I'm saying? Big guys. So they're not quick guys. Now Tryon is quick. Shaq Barrett is in the middle with the quickness, and then Logan Hall got some youth in him too, so he's kind of quick for his size. But you get what I'm saying? As a whole unit, they're not even in the top. If you look at all the D-line units in the NFL, from the quickest to the slowest, the Bucks probably have one of the slowest front D-lines in the NFL, like as far as like explosiveness. Now Tryon makes up for a lot of that, and then Logan Hall with the youthfulness, and then Shaq Barrett with the kind of explosiveness. He been looking good too. He was unblockable. They couldn't really block him. I don't know if they had I don't know if Armstead was out there and their right tackle was out there. But now if Shaq Barrett going against Tyrone Armstead, he's never done anything against Tyrone Armstead. I don't think Armstead was out there playing. I'd seen the reports of him out there blocking. I don't know. He probably was. But Armstead is one of the top tackles. So, Shaq Barrett against top right tackles and top left tackles tend to kind of disappear for whatever reason. In the last 2 years, in big games, big moments. Right? Can't do nothing with Ramczyk. You know what I'm saying? Can't do nothing with Lane Johnson. He struggles. You know what I'm saying? He does his thing, but he struggles against the upper tier because his size. He like 6'2", 6'2 and a quarter, 250 pounds. So he struggles a little bit when those big guys lock on him. But today he was looking good. But also the backups. Anthony Nelson was struggling. From what the Bucs reporter was saying, that was out there looking, Anthony Nelson struggled. Struggling. Struggling. Anthony Nelson struggling. 3 year guy. Struggling. Not a good look. Now let's get to the offensive side. McCullum was struggling too. He says he's a rookie, so he had a little trouble keeping up with I think Waddle or somebody like that. He had a little trouble out there, but he's a rookie. Now offensively, Brady, based on the reports. Now I had to look at it from two sides. He had his moments in the 1-on-1s, but then in the 11-on-11s, the Miami, I think his name Omar Kelly, one of the Miami media members, Brady was frustrated. He struggled. I seen a stat out there. Somebody was keeping stat with throws. Brady was 7 for 15 in the joint practices, an 11-on-11 session. He was frustrated. He got sacked a couple times. Not sacked, but he got sacked a couple times. Let me go. We'll get to that. He got sacked a couple times. He got frustrated, took his helmet off, and then the Dolphins got a little chippy. They hit our guys a couple times. I think they hit Tyler Johnson or Scotty Miller or Tompkins pretty hard, and Brady didn't take well with that. So Brady was kind of like agitated already by the Dolphins doing dirty stuff out there. Chippy. He got a little chippy out there with their defense and our offense. But from the reports, Brady was a little frustrated. You know what I'm saying? In the 11-on-11s. Not the 1-on-1s when he was throwing the Julio on the 11-on-11s. The scenario-based, situational based plays and all that. Struggled a little bit. And that's no worries. I'm just kind of putting it out there. So it wasn't all good. And the issue that I was reading from the Miami reporters and the Bucs reporters didn't touch on this, which was interesting. The Miami blitzing was causing problems as I transitioned to the Bucs O-line. And the issue was interior. Interior was the issue today. Now, Hainsley did get hurt. Now they say it was cramps. They say he got cramps. We haven't really got the full report on what's going on. They say he was carted off, but they say it's not really. They don't think it's a big deal. They say it was cramps. Boy, if it's just cramps, we whew. But if it's anything outside of cramps, oh man, you know what I'm saying? This is what I told y'all. The number one thing that will stop the Bucs is injuries. What are we going through right now? And I'll get to the other injury in a second. But the interior O-line was a problem. Center and guard. What did I tell y'all? Don't get mad at me. I'm just giving y'all the bigger picture here. Do you understand with this joint practice, it kind of gives us an insight on the center and left guard position. The Bucs couldn't run the ball in the joint practice. Too much interior pressure, too much immediate pressure. Fournette didn't do anything. That's why you hear nothing about Fournette. Couldn't really run the ball. Interior pressure, blitzing. They was getting ate up. I'm just going by what the people that was out there saying from a Miami outlet perspective, and the Bucs media members didn't touch on that. There was a dude out there was keeping track, like boom, like if you go on his Twitter feed, he was kind of giving you like the updates, like boom, 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 and he was saying like Bucs can't run the ball, too much pressure, Miami Dolphins blitzing, the interior can't handle it. All I'm saying is, like I said, and overall, it's just mixed reviews. So you can't really go strictly on the Bucs reporters. You can't go strictly on the Miami reporters. This is why the joint practices is tricky to kind of gauge on what's going on, because one side is going to go bias for their team, and the other side is going to go bias for their team. So please understand. I'm just giving y'all what was being reported on both sides. And you can come up with your own conclusion, but I'm just saying, like, there was some pressure, there was some issues with the O-line not being able to run the ball, and Brady getting sacked a few times. That's all I'm saying. Don't get mad at me. Go get mad at the Miami reporter. He was out there, he was reporting it. You wasn't out there. So if you want to go against what he said, that's cool, and you just want to go with what the Bucs reporter said. Remember, the Bucs reporters didn't really give you the whole picture. They gave you a lot of the good stuff. They didn't, which is fine. I get it. That's the report. That's, you want to report good stuff, but they really didn't report the other side of the stuff a lot. But the Miami reporters did, because trying to make their team look good. So both teams had a productive joint practice. Russell Gage was limping. Yep. Russell Gage got hurt. They don't know what the injury is. An ankle, foot, hamstring. I don't know what it is, but he got hurt. And we don't need to hit. Mike Evans not even practicing. What did I tell y'all last week about Mike Evans? About the hamstring. What did I tell y'all about that? Oh, hamstring, he just tweaked it, no big deal. Okay, if it's not a big deal, he'll be practicing Monday, Tuesday time frame. Here we are, Wednesday, joint practice. Ain't practicing. That wasn't no just tweak. Now, I get it for precautionary purposes, but they really being extra careful with Mike Evans' hamstring because they know it's an issue. I told y'all this last week. What did I tell y'all? They telling y'all, oh, it's not a big deal, it's just a tweak. Oh, okay. For those of you that play football, basketball, and you hurt your hamstring, a tweak is just as good as it hurt. Because you can still play on a tweak hamstring, but you can't really do nothing, so you want to rest. You might as well just say, he hurt his hamstring. A slight strain of his hamstring. They use these, be careful with these words. He tweaked his hamstring. No, it's a mild strain. A slight strain. Slight strain of the hamstring. He tweaked the hamstring. Come on. The dude can't practice for a whole week. He actually hurt it. This is what I'm saying. You got to be forthcoming. Got to be transparent. You can't be too transparent with the injury reports because you don't want to put bad information out there. But come on, man. The injury is more than what we expected to be because he not practicing. He won't be practicing tomorrow either. He's not even playing the first game, which nobody expected the starters to play the first game. But my point is, Mike Evans ain't practiced since he tweaked his hamstring. Both teams at the joint practices were not at full strength. Both teams wasn't at full strength. Both teams was missing starters on both sides. So it's hard to get a full gauge on what's really going on. If you're a real Bucs fan, you want to see what the other guys doing, the younger guys, and a lot of y'all favorite guy, Kyle Trask, threw an interception in joint practice to Javon Holland, I believe. Kyle Trask, man, we gonna see Saturday. He gonna get a lot of snaps. Brady ain't playing the first game probably. You know what I'm saying? Blaine Gabbert he not gonna play the whole game, so Kyle Trask gonna be in there. He might get in there with some twos. He definitely gonna be in there with threes. We gonna see a lot of Kyle Trask. But he threw an interception today. So that's my Kyle Trask update, because I know y'all been waiting on that. But Kyle Trask, he got to get it together, man. And I'm hoping this Saturday he shows some improvement. And even if he goes 7 for 15, 11 for 20, it just got to look good, because we're not expecting ball caught. Now, granted, our receiving core is pretty good. So it's not like he's throwing to just some random guys. You feel me? Not throwing to random. So he's going to be throwing to Cyrus Grayson, Tyler Johnson. I don't know if Scotty might get in that a little bit, but the Tompkins and the Hart, the Darden. He's going to be throwing to some guys that got some skill. So we're gonna get an understanding Saturday, and I'm gonna be live. We're gonna watch this together, and we're gonna critique this all the way down. And if you're a fan of the Bucs, whether you're not a fan of the Bucs, come and join the live stream, because this gonna be fun. We're gonna critique. We're gonna be nitpicking. Who gonna make the roster? Who looking good? I'm bringing back walking the plank. I'll probably do that on Monday. Recap of the game on Monday and walking the plank. So we're gonna have a little fun with this. Reintroduce the walking the plank. Some of y'all asked about that. So and all in all, man, no major injuries. The Hainsley and Gage situation, hopefully those injuries, hopefully those things are not a big deal. Fingers crossed, right? Because God forbid we don't need receivers just falling out. Mind you, if this happens, we have enough depth in our receiving core and enough more experience not to withstand that, right? Sustain those injuries. That's why we got Julio Jones and Russell Gage, right? But there was one more thing. There was a Ryan Jensen sighting out there. He was out there with a brace on. Ryan Jensen was out there with a brace, standing around looking. Now reports, some people saying the injury's not as bad as they thought it was, but if he can play this season, they saying like late November, December timeframe, which he's going to miss basically 10 to 14 weeks. And if they put him on injured reserve IR, meaning they can't bring him back. I mean, out for the season type situation. I don't know how the reporting goes, but you get what I'm saying. Like, they can put him on IR, but returning, like at some point later in the season. They're not going to put him on a PUP. I think the max for that is like 6 weeks or something like that. Because if you don't play by week 6, I think it's a wrap. So they try to keep his roster spot available. That's why you haven't really heard anything about the Bucs trying to sign J.C. Tretter, because the Bucs want to make sure if he's gone for the rest of the season, then okay. But if he's gonna come back and it was a MCL, UCL, ACL strain, a major, a severe strain, and he just needs time and rest for the swelling to go down and some rehabbing, he can come back late November, December, which will be like week 10, 11, 12, 13, up in there, and then there's a bye I think at week 13. So if he's able to come back, you know what I'm saying, with 6 games left, and that's a tricky part too, because Hainsley gonna play all this time if he's doing good, right? He's gonna play all this time, and then Ryan Jensen comes in after being out for 10, 15, 10, 12, or being out for multiple months. Let's see, July, right? So August, September, October, November. So being out 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 months later, Ryan Jensen comes back and assumes the starting position. That's with the rehab and everything, and he's going to play with a knee brace, and teams are going to attack that. And like I said, the schedule ain't easy, even at the end of the season. Now, the last couple games are cupcakes. They set it up again like that, which is interesting. For the 3rd straight year, the back end of our schedule, the last couple weeks, ends with cupcakes. But that's the privilege that you get when you get Brady on your team. You know what I'm saying? Because for the 3rd straight year, we don't have no Saints and no Ravens, no Steelers. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the cream of the crop teams. Even though we got a really hard schedule, a lot of that's front loaded towards the middle. None of that stuff is really towards the back, from the back end. Thank you, NFL. Well, thank you, Tom Brady. You gotta thank Tom Brady for that, because for the 3rd straight year we don't have any hard games at the last 2, 3, 4 weeks of the season. You don't think that's a little bit of Tom Brady flavor right there? You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? We can slide on into the playoffs healthy and on the roll again, right? But Ryan Jensen out there, if he comes back November, December, that's cool. But just trying to implement him in game speed, that's gonna be tricky. But he's a veteran, but it just gonna be a little tricky. He's gonna be fresh though, right? But I'm just, it takes this long for MRI. How bad was the swelling? The swelling gone, folks, because he's out there on a brace, standing around. That swelling gone. And from my understanding, I read it somewhere, but from my understanding, I think they're getting second and third opinions. I think the first opinion that they got, they didn't like. If they would have went off the first opinion, then they would have reported ACL out for the season. But for whatever reason, something changed or something happened, because people saying closely it wasn't looking good at all, right? And the injury didn't look good at all. We all saw it, and they got the first, diagnosis from the doctor, the very first doctor, and he came out and probably said, nah, yeah. And the Bucs like, okay, cool. Well, we're gonna get a second opinion. Well, that makes sense to go get a second opinion, right? You go get a second opinion to make sure. And I think they got that. I'm just in theory. I think they got the second opinion, and that second doctor probably gave the Bucs some good news to a degree, if that makes sense, and some hope that he can play on the back end of the season. And I believe they might have got a third opinion to back that opinion up, the second opinion up. So that's why we in a holding pattern with Ryan Jensen. The only guy in the NFL right now with an injury that really don't have an actual diagnosis. Like, it's this. From what I know. I don't know about it. I don't know about every other team, but I'm just saying, just by paying attention in general, Ryan Jensen is the only one right now that has an injury that nobody really knows. Like, don't have a full understanding of what's going on with his knee, because everything is in the dark. It's we don't know yet. We still waiting on this. We trying to make it's like they tap dancing because they really want to hold that roster spot, and I get that. But we do know this though. At some point, we're going to get a diagnosis of what's going on with that knee. We're going to get a diagnosis of it. Whether the Bucs did from everybody or not, they eventually gonna have to report that on the injury report. And I just think that they're trying to hold off as long as they can. Because think about this. The injury happened a couple of weeks. So let's just say they keep doing this all the way until let me just say this theory right here, hypothetically speaking. We might not hear nothing about the injury until after the regular season starts. Because if we don't hear anything before season start, then that's really good for us, because as far as the fans, that he probably coming back later in the season. Now we should be able to get a report about his injury another week or two, or they just not gonna say anything. And the Bucs is not really known to do that. So it's just a lot of mixed feelings behind that. Like, what are they hiding? What are they trying to withhold from everybody? Because I believe at this point, with the technology and the medicine in today's society, they kind of know what it is. I mean, all this technology that we got, all this the improvements in medicine that we've gotten in the last 10 years, you mean to tell me they don't know what it is by now? I don't believe it. I believe they're hiding something, or they withholding information, because we got guys coming back from ACLs in 7 months. Think about that for a second. We just had a guy injured, had an ACL injury in December, had surgery early January. He's running in August. Had surgery and they had rehab. He's running routes in practice. He goes by the name of Chris Godwin. 7 months. Ryan Jensen injured his knee. We don't know nothing. We're not sure what it is. We trying to wait to see what's up. What? So the Bucs training staff was able to get Chris Godwin back and running in 7 months, but Ryan Jensen injured his knee in practice. 2 weeks later, it's we don't know. We still waiting. It's swelling and not. Something ain't adding up. It just come off very fishy to me. it just comes off very fishy and secretive, and it's like, what y'all hiding? Why y'all not being honest? And you know what I'm saying? Like, because as fans, we want to know. Because look at the speculation. You see him out there in practice, it's like, well, he's on a break standing up. So why? Because all these injuries is happening now, we knowing what's going on. Mekhi Becton, fractured kneecap. We knew that the next two days. Next day, fractured kneecap. MRI, fractured kneecap. Tim Patrick, torn ACL, and the other person from the Broncos torn it. We knew that right away. But with the Bucs, we don't know. All these other guys hurting the ACLs, we know within 1 or 2 days. Ryan Jensen, is it an MCL? Is it a PCL? Is it a UCL? Is it a strain of the ACL? Is it slightly torn ACL? Can he play through it, let it heal, and just rest up and some little bit of rehab and have surgery in the offseason? We ain't got nothing. Yeah, Smoke Monday. ACL, you knew that, boom. We don't know nothing about Ryan Jensen with all this technology and science improvement. They can find out stuff like this. You know, do y'all understand what an MRI is? Scan. It's a scan. It tells you exactly what's going on. I had a scan on my elbow. I had bone spurs in my left elbow. I had an MRI. Oh, this was where your bone spurs at, because you had a strain in your tricep. Because I was lifting weights, had a strain in my tricep. It's a muscle that runs from here all the way to, it's a ligament, like a muscle that runs here, and it strained it, and it caused a little buildup, some spurs in my elbow. Painful, like tennis elbow, like what Matthew Stafford got. But we don't know what Ryan Jensen's injury is 2 weeks later. Something ain't sounding right. Anyway, come on, folks. y'all, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. All this technology and science, we don't know what it is. After 2 weeks, I'm just saying. Anyway, but like I said, no news is good news, right? Yeah, I seen Justin Evans out there. I didn't go to the Saints training camp today because I had some meetings at work today. I might go tomorrow morning. Go behind the scenes in enemy territory. We'll see. I might, if I wake up, if I feel like going, I might go, I might not go. But I'm gonna try to go in tomorrow. But anyway, we got another day of, and I'll give y'all my take on it. Don't listen to me. I'm just giving y'all what I read and some of the videos, what I see, and I'll formulate my opinion for discussion. Because I try not to go exactly word for word, but I have to reference these media members. Then I have to look at the videos, what's being showed. Because there's actually people out there posting videos of what's going on in joint practices. And then we have media members from Tampa and Miami actually reporting play-by-play, or every other 3 plays they were actually reporting on when something really, really, really good happens, or something really, really bad happens. These guys are out there in that hot sun reporting what they see. Could it be a little fluffed or biased or narrative being pushed? Sure. But when I go to the Saints practice, possibly tomorrow, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I see. If I go tomorrow, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I see. Now you can go against it, but guess what? I seen it. You ain't gotta believe me. I'm just doing my research for you guys behind the scenes. So I understand the reporters out there, they're doing what they can. It's gonna be a little biased, but I can't do that. I can't be biased. It's hard for me to be just one-sided because I'm so much of a football fan. I can't just paint a picture of, yeah, this is how it is and it looks like this, and in reality there's other pieces and there's other context to what I'm saying, but I'm leaving that out to push a narrative. I can't do that. This is why I think I cannot be a media member, like actually a reporter, because I will literally be like, no, that's not what happened. You see what I'm saying? I'll be very difficult. I'll be a very difficult media member. I'll be a real one because I'll be very hard to talk to, because they're like, what happened, Buckles? This is what happened. Stop lying. I'll call them out. Stop lying. Tell the whole truth. Tell the truth. But anyway, shouts out to all the pilots. Gotta go to Trader Joe's. They close at 9 o'clock. It's 8:18. Shouts out to all the Powers Sea Bandits. Thank you for joining this episode of BucosLocker. With that being said, shouts out to all the Powers Sea Bandits. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share the videos. I might be out there at Saints practice tomorrow, doing some research for week number 2. With that being said, fire those cannons, seize the day, raise the flag. Hashtag no risky, no biscuit. Hashtag facts over feelings. Hashtag bombs away. Hashtag what did your eyes tell you? Hashtag probability versus possibility. Hashtag stay humble. Hashtag trenches matters. Hashtag don't get mad at me. Hashtag Super Bowl. Did I say hashtag what did your eyes tell you? Hashtag Super Bowl or bust. I'll see y'all tomorrow with another update. And stay tuned for Friday's locker room talk. We're going to talk about the joint practices. Buckles lock out. Peace.